You've been hiding in the shadows way too long. You always thought that you were weak, but babe, you're wrong. Yeah, you better step into the light, just give it a try. Think that it's time you let that spark out. You've been hiding in the shadows way too long. And who cares if you might mess it up? You're stronger than the others think. And who cares if you might mess it up? Go ahead and shine, darling, go ahead and shine.
And there we go. While Everepides is opening up hundreds and hundreds of windows for you, because when the man is in the house, we're gonna nerd out today, which is why I'm double hydrating. So why am I hydrating? You're gonna be doing most of the talking. I'm fine.
Yeah, yeah, I tend to do that.
No, it's fun. I love it. I'm like, what you guys don't see behind the scenes is we've been chatting, we've been nerding out. This is one of my favorites, where it's like, so what are you planning to talk about? So I know which questions to ask because he's got the plan laid out for you guys. We are
Um,
taking what Gustavo showed us and now taking it to the next level. It's gonna be fun today, so you guys get your pen and paper ready.
yeah, so I've been almost exclusively working with agile setups and automation. And agile setups, I mean, when every business comes to you, they say agile, I say agile, and yeah, same word, two different things. Um, yeah, different meaning between every single business.
That's the
So,
fun thing, chatting with you behind the scenes, because I know you've watched Gustavo's live with me last week, and you're like, yeah, that's where I started. Let's build up on that, because I'm like, you are working with a lot of agile clients and have seen so many different builds and so many implementations. But let's start in the beginning, shall we? ClickUp
yeah,
hierarchy.
ClickUp hierarchy. So that's actually where the fun is, and the whole foundation. So actually, this year ClickUp had some awesome, let's say, updates and like new features which made agile, let's say, work life much better. Big example: subtasks in multiple lists.
It's been it's
So
been the talk of my community in the Agile platform. Literally, Gustavo just posted this morning again, tasks in multiple lists. I'm like, yeah.
yeah, like being able to just drop a subtask under like what we call epics, we're gonna talk about it later, and just have a subtask which is a user story under your epic, and being able to drop that into a sprint instead of just taking the whole basket and throwing it into a sprint. Yeah, makes life much easier. And a lot of like best practices and like what you should do and not do. Um, Basically, 1 year ago, I will tell you different things, but with the current situation of ClickUp, things changed, and things I will tell you last year, you should do them. Right now, I'm gonna be like, don't do them. After working, yeah, we've been working with a lot of startups, agile startups, and so on. And yeah, things actually change. I've seen way more. Like I've worked with larger teams, for once. A lot of them we build, a basic foundation, a common setup, the basic hierarchy, as we say, and then from there is just different depending on the interpretation in different interpretation. I'm forgetting my English.
Oh, that's one I'm
Yeah.
still struggling with too.
So depending on the interpretation of like agile story points, item types, what is feature, what is epic, what is stories, and blah 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 of different business, then it's just different practices that you need to implement.
But the nice thing is we can evolve. I'm like one of the big things that happened that I found out in my conversation with Gustavo, who came from Jira, however you pronounce it, was that they were stuck with their setup on the gyro server, and there was no way of growing and adjusting. So the nice thing is, no matter what the reason is, we can adjust, scale, and grow with ClickUp. So it's a good thing, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I mean, Agile grows, ClickUp grows, every single platform grows. Jira fell a bit behind, especially server. Like Jira server is gonna be discontinued, if not mistaken, uh, quite soon.
Huh, interesting.
Like it's gonna be, it's gonna be all cloud. I'm not entirely a server discontinued. Yeah, in
In
February of 2024, next year, actually.
2024, that's 2 years
So
out.
in 2 years. Yeah, my math.
Who pays attention to Jira?
Exactly,
And
exactly,
somebody's
exactly.
ears
But
must have been ringing. Gustavo is in the house. Hey, hey.
hello, hello.
So, I'm curious with the hierarchy and stuff. How do you build your agile hierarchy? How are you doing the space and item setup?
Let's actually just. I think it's better if we
You're
show
you're
rather
looking
than
you're looking for that.
than
There you go.
yeah, rather than just talking. So when it comes to agile, there is a couple of things to. I'm gonna do a little bit of more talking. Like we need to get some basics down. Let's say I don't want to get the super technical stuff. So everyone knows in agile, and when we speak agile, let's talk scrum. We're gonna be speaking scrum because in agile you have xp, you have safety, you have a ton of frameworks. Let's talk about scrum and kanban. So in scrum you have what we call the po, or like project owner or product owner, and scrum master. So you have like, and the delivery team. That's the three roles we'll be looking at, which are the more important. And everything else goes from there. So most of the best practices that like most of the do's and don'ts, they don't necessarily have to do with setups. um, Most of them is just views, like developing views depending on what kind of role watches the backlog. So if a scrum master watches the backlog, needs to see differently. If the product owner watches the backlog, needs to see differently because they have different jobs to do. If the
So
delivery team,
if I
yep,
can jump in for a second, because that's one of the things
yes,
that I often hear, agile or not, people have no idea. They haven't come across yet that we actually can set up different views. And whenever Peters is talking about different views, that doesn't mean a different list on the left hand side or something. It's literally what you see on his space right there on the top. You can filter stuff. You can take all the information you have in there and decide this is the specific data point that I need for this specific use case scenario for this specific person. And you take all the information that's there and just sort it by that and build a view,
exactly. And there is so many things.
which is a huge point for ClickUp because, again, you don't have to double up. It is all interactive. You don't have to build a separate space for a specific use case scenario. You have all of your work, all of your tasks, everything in here. And you just build a different view and layout around the use case scenario that you need.
Exactly. Like, so let's start with the I haven't done something like that,
Yeah,
but I
Gustavo
like the
says
idea
he.
of
So
different
this
views.
this is where I love how I set you guys up with the live show, because Gustavo has switched from Jira into ClickUp, went through his different reiterations just like you did initially, and now he gets to see ideas of different views specifically for his team and how to implement them so they can see what they need without him having to go all crazy and build new stuff.
Exactly. So let's start with so we need to differentiate a couple of artifacts, as we say in Agile. So artifacts are, for example, the backlog and the sprint backlog. That's two. They are both backlogs, and one contains the stuff from the other, but they function quite differently. So it's in matters of hierarchy. I'll show you two different setups because I know most of the people that you're watching here or that will be watching this future or in the future on YouTube, um, they own agencies.
Yeah.
Um, Everyone today owns an agency or something. So, and don't get me wrong, like yeah, Agile started as a software engineering framework. But is it a software engineering framework? Hell no. I use it in everything. I do not do like I do some, development, but I'm not exclusively doing development. I do marketing as well. I do a lot of things, and
Yeah,
depending
that's
on what
where
you do,
where
what you
Sam
can
has
use
been
it. Yeah,
playing around. A lot of my content creators in the community have been playing around using the agile methodology to use it in their systems. So, guys, if you are not in the community yet, we actually have a specific channel just for agile project management, which doesn't mean you have to run an agile agency, but wanting to use the agile methodology for your business, like Sam is using it for and implementing it right now for her content creation. And I'm dabbling. I'm constantly messaging Everepides. I'm like, how am I okay? So guys, jump in the community, go pop your questions in there. We got Gustavo and Everepides in there for you guys.
yep, we can nerd out all day.
Yes.
Awesome. So, backlogs. So you'll see here in my setup, I have my operations space, my operations department. So basically, what I'll be showing you is projects and backlogs, which I am working on. So when do I create a backlog? So I create a backlog for each, let's call them initiative I work on. So right now I'm building a client portal which I just launched for my clients, and in my folder or in my, let's say, central backlog folder, I just have one simple list which is the backlog with a ton of different custom fields and ton of views, my OKRs, and my bugs log, which is where all the bugs go. If anything, so if someone reports a bug, is gonna come here, and I have a processing. Let's say bug one. I have a required custom field for every task. By the way, some people find it annoying, but I find it necessary for such builds. Um, Yeah. So when someone reports a bug, it's gonna go here, and then I have separate stages. So a lot of people what don't get is like, I mean, Evie and I, we come across with that problem with every single client. Every single client creates a ClickUp space, and they have I don't know about 1,582 different statuses, which is a
You
problem.
you are you Are you really wanting to push this button right now, guys? Guys, if you still have not watched my status versus stages video, what are you doing on my channel? Pause the video
Yeah,
right now. I know
exactly.
you guys are watching the replay. If you're watching live, stay here. Status
So,
versus stages. And I'm handing it after that went off to Evripides because
So
Very
right now we're
good.
gonna talk about statuses and stages. I'll just show you some basic stuff that I have. This is all the statuses. I literally all the statuses I have, and
Look
they are
how
all the
clean that
same.
is, guys. That's just a handful. That's it.
So it's just a plain, like, backlog and or to do and closed. Normal, which is in including in progress. Then I have standard processing, which has the staging, planned, blocked, and in progress stage, and dropped. Then processing plus QA. So I have a QA stage, which is a different process. Like when stuff go into QA, I have a different drop down, which has,
So
run
guys,
it
QA
one
in that
time.
instance, I'm pretty sure doesn't mean question and answer. It means quality
It means,
assurance.
yes, exactly.
I guessed right. Yes, I'm proud of myself.
And I also have my another set of statuses with the review process. I'm not gonna get in detail. I'll go in details when it comes to the staging status. The staging status is during the backlog grooming process. We'll get to that. So, best practices, yeah, keep just a standard set of statuses and just add and remove processes on it depending on where you have it. For example, in my bugs, I have this set of statuses because I need to do review, I need to do QA, I need to do reproduction, which is when it's basically in progress. What we do is we try to reproduce and confirm that a bug exists and so on, and then just prioritize, just measure impact and everything. And what do we do when, we have a backlog item or something like that? We just drop it into a sprint. But the big question is, it's something that in the previous live with Gustavo, Gustavo talked about a very different setup, which is the thing I will tell you not to do. um,
But that's what ClickUp is about.
yeah,
This is what the live
exactly.
show is about, learning it. And I don't want to. I'm gonna jump right in here for a second, because I think it's a good cut to fast ask. Gustavo in the audience is asking, what sort of projects are you handling with that setup?
You mean these kind of setup?
I'm pretty
Let's
sure
call
that's
them
what he means.
so. Let's call them products. Let's say product development. But I also handle clients in pretty much the same setup. I have my delivery space, which I made an example. So I have a client called Ask AV, and I have another one which is called Better Ask AV. Uh,
We need a
yeah,
third
in
one
the
that's best, ask Gaby.
or maybe Don't Ask AV.
You did not just say that.
Yeah, yeah. No, I was joking. I was joking. Always Ask AV. That's another one. Um, I actually just created a franchise for you. Never mind.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Okay. So
that's what Gustavo was talking about, that specific setup, and he thinks he gets it. So more of the product and client development.
yeah, let's call them products. So I have, let's say, or different processes also, like business development. This is my client portal, which has a product. If we go to the marketing space, I have my marketing ops, which is exactly the same setup. So you can see its consistency across my whole space. Everything has the same exact setup. So it's just a bunch of, let's say, backlogs, and once a week when I have my rituals, I just go here and I just drop them into my sprints. Like I don't go here. I have a specific view which helps me do, uh, sprint plannings much better. We'll get to that as well. So whatever you do, design and creative, and everything, it's just same setup across everything. My client setup is a little bit different. My clients have their own initiatives and their sometimes their own OKRs if they're marketing clients and so on. And I have a meetings list which has a bunch of automation. I'm not gonna get into that. We're gonna need a new another 2 hours for that. And they
Yeah,
also have,
we need to schedule a live just to get you on for automations on this one.
yeah, I will talk about a very super best practice that apparently I use a lot, but I don't know why a lot of people don't use it. It's like super easy, super simple. I'll get to that. It's stupidly simple actually, and offers a lot of automation.
Which
So
means,
yeah,
guys,
so
you're gonna have to stick around to see that.
yeah, yeah, definitely, definitely. So yeah, each client has a different bug log, which they report bugs, and they have a list of ideas. And through my client portal, they have the form which they submit ideas, and they also have this list of ideas which is publicly shared, and they can view it. Um, if you have a question about the customer portal, I can show it to you. I can just show an example at some point. Um, okay, so
If we start diving into your customer platform, we're gonna be
no,
here
no,
for
no, no,
three
no, no, no.
hours. So, guys, he pretty
3 is
much
not
just
enough.
did a custom build with a great client platform that's out there where he integrates it. So let's leave it at that. At some point in the
Hmm.
future, I'm pretty sure I'm gonna bring Evripides on to dive deeper into that.
Exactly. So, as you will see, I have my sprint folders. That's a different setup I have from Gustavo from your previous talk. That I have my sprints folder in a dedicated space, and there is a very specific reason for that. So, where you plan your work and you actually do your you create your backlog, you groom your items, you groom your epics, you create stories, you create tasks and so on, kind of needs to live in a different place for a very specific reason. It's called capacity management. So if I have my backlog, um, if I have like everything in the same space, let's say a backlog here and I have a sprint folder here, let's just do one just for the sake of just showing an example. If I want to plan capacity, it just the hierarchy doesn't allow me to create a view without having a bunch of filters, which they are not going to be scalable to manage capacity. When it comes to having a dedicated space and using, tasks and subtasks in multiple lists, you can kind of have that. So one is sprint backlog. So my sprint team is called the Avengers. Yeah,
Did
I'm
you
Marvel
actually
fan.
call it that, or did you just do that to be on brand with a live
No,
show?
I actually called it. I actually call it
Yes.
that. I actually call it that. I have like you can see, I have two teams. It's Avengers and Justice League. But never mind.
That's why we get along so well.
Yeah. So yeah. So the Avengers sprints. So you will see every single task from all my clients, all my projects. Each just lives here, and I can actually come here and manage sprint workload. If you are working with a team, you can manage these per team member. What you will see here, a lot of them are enterprise features because um, I have um, an enterprise plan, which allows you to plan capacity per day and other small features. But the basics are there for the business plan. Like you don't need you can plan weekly capacity. It's just not gonna include weekends if you're
And
on the
yeah,
business plan.
enterprise is a great plan. So if anybody watching wants to go enterprise, it really isn't that crazy expensive, just to let you know. Go
Yeah.
message me and I'll get you in contact with my sales guy. That will get you the best price you can get.
Hmm.
And by the way, Gustavo seems to have, I think you might have seen his first initial space. When he talked about his first initial setup, he now runs his sprints in a separate space too. So
That's yeah,
he has been doing the same adjustments as you have.
yeah. Yeah, like whoever starts with Agile, they come to a point where they're like, okay, sprints, they need their own space. So, and each team, they have their own sprint folder. Now, as for like, who works in each team needs their own sprint folder. Um, if I duplicate that, like, which I'm not going to know, and I have another folder which is capacity management, which you can see vacation, sick leaves, blah blah blah. So let's say Evripides is sick and he wants a sick leave. Oh no, Evripides is gonna go to Italy.
That's a better use case scenario. Let's use that one.
Yeah, yeah. So Evripides is gonna go to Italy next week from Monday until no, Evripides is gonna go for 2 weeks. Screw that. So what I did here, I created a storing point entry which is worth 10,000 points. So if I now go to my space level, I on the space level I have a workload view, and on the workload view, basically you can see tasks that each person has from their respective sprint, and also you can see everybody is going to vacation, so he's over capacity.
He is way over capacity.
He's way over capacity for like 2 weeks. So the Scrum Master instantly knows, okay, I cannot just give a task to repeat it. Um, he's
I
over capacity,
love that
obviously.
workaround too. Because it has been a lot of conversation going on, not being able to assign tasks when certain things, when people are out of office, whatever it is. So this workaround is perfect to just block somebody for vacation or sick leave
Hmm.
or birth or whatever. So perfect. I love it.
I think I lost your sound.
You lost my sound?
Now I can hear you.
Okay. Perfect.
Awesome. So yeah, you can see like it's a capacity management thing, and when you plan sprints as a product owner or as a scrum master, the most important thing to have in mind is capacity.
Mm-hmm.
So therefore, you have this workload view, and when I plan sprints, mostly 99% of the time, 90, not 99, I plan everything from the workload view. It's just that I have also on the space level another sprints backlog list, which I see every single backlog item and ritual. Ritual, I mean uh, daily stand-ups, sprint planning, sprint review, backlog refinement, OKR reviews, monthly, quarterly, yearly, blah blah blah. Which these also take capacity, and I plan everything from here. So, do I want to do this next sprint, this sprint, whatever? And it's just super easy. Here mostly I do the grooming if something needs an additional estimation, like more sprint points, blah blah blah. Because you can also see here, but mostly when it comes to actually planning my sprints, I do everything from here. I just drop everything I have from the backlog folders to the sprints, and I do the planning from here, like what I'm gonna work. And me personally, I do not work strictly on a do a date basis, like day to day. I have like what I want to accomplish this week. So um, yeah, don't exactly work on a day to day basis. And most development teams are like that. Most of the time, they just we have a sprint backlog this week. Let's just complete all of these this week, and the scrum master sort of like makes a plan to just where is better to start, what is better to end in order to accomplish the sprint goal.
Yeah, Gustavo is having fun in the comment section. I think he's gonna take your vacation blocking for a test drive. Um,
Can you
he's also asking if you can show us the move from BL to sprint.
Yep. Definitely. I mean, um there's a lot of ways actually to do it. Usually work project to project. So I have it comes with the rituals. So mostly I use this functionality here. I add this. You can add sprints. If I hide it here, let me just hide it real quick. You can go here, show hide, and type sprint, and you can find sprints. And you just click here, and it shows you your sprints, and you add it to a sprint.
Oh my God, that's how
Which
easy it is to add something to a sprint.
yeah.
See, guys, this is why I'm completely new to Agile and inviting these kind of people because I'm like, we have that feature.
Oh, and I'll show you something else, another feature that I don't know when it came out. I actually figured it out a couple of, I think one or like two before the click before the Level Up conference. Um, and I don't know. A lot of people actually don't know that it's there. You can actually, if you go here, you can. Where is it? Sprint. You can favorite the current sprint.
That's a new one. I know that's a new
Yeah.
one. So
So
yeah.
basically, you can have in your favorites like accessible here at all
Yeah.
times the actual stuff you're working on.
Which is
But
which is Gustavus and my favorite feature in ClickUp, the favorites on top. Such a lifesaver.
yeah,
But there's a but.
yeah, there is a but. So I never go to the least level when it comes to sprints. Problem is because when ClickUp automatically creates sprints, it doesn't recreate the view. Like it doesn't have the custom fields and
Which
blah blah blah.
means you have to build it every single time for every sprint list.
Yeah, that's what I thought. But ClickUp also is amazing in another way. You
You
can
use a
actually be
view in the folder.
you can basically be on the folder level, and actually it shows you the current sprint. It doesn't have this kind of thing where it shows you all the lists. It only shows you see, I have like one task in like sprint number 33. This task is dropped, and it doesn't even show sprint 33. It
Because it
just
goes after
shows
the
the current
current
sprint.
sprint.
Yeah. So I
So
work like
cute.
solely from the folder view, which I have everything here as I want to have it. Tracker, which I never use.
And you don't have to rebuild the list and all the things and all. Yes.
Yeah, you just ask that on circles.
Yep.
You mean about, yeah,
That's our community. So there we go.
yeah. Make sure to join. We're nerding out there.
Heck yeah.
So basically, yeah. I mean, it's all about playing around with views when it comes to sprints, and yeah, sprint workload again. So if you're a scrum master and you have to manage the workload per team, I only have these three views on my sprints. Super simple. What?
I couldn't help
It's
but
been
laugh.
there.
Gustav was like, "What? It's been there all along." Yeah.
Yep.
Yep. Um. It's again. This is why I wanted to have Everepides at the end to really everybody that watches these agile videos and those live shows to see the progression people have gone through. I'm like the growth and the learning that Gustavo has done over just a few months is insane. Now Evripides has been doing this for what, 3 years now?
Yeah,
You've been
yeah.
around a
As a
while, ClickUp.
consultant, as a consultant, 1.5 years.
Yeah. So
As a practitioner, way more.
and it's one of those things where I'm actually talking about this in one of my upcoming recording videos where it's like you can move a lot of things around. You don't have to be perfect. Even as vetted consultants, don't know everything. Go out there, use it, help your clients use it, and learn things. I'm like, that's how easy you can add a sprint. Okay, we all are
Yep,
learning. So
exactly.
let's hand it back over to Evripides because
Yeah.
he's the
Like
expert
to add to
tonight.
that, to add to that as well. Like I mean, when it comes to agile, I've been exploring every single possibility. Like with every new feature comes with ClickUp. Like how can I use it for agile to
We both have
make
way
the
too
workflow
much
even better?
fun breaking things.
Yeah, breaking. That's like I mean, breaking stuff is like 90% of the process of creativity.
Yep.
Let's say, or distraction. That's what they say.
Let's burn it
Destroying
to the
stuff. No.
ground.
Yeah. So like I mean, if you ask me, when it comes to, for example, content management workflows,
Uh
uh,
oh.
yeah, that's why I don't have content.
Oh God. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. I've been working on that content management workflow now for how long? A while.
long enough.
A while.
Yeah. So another super important thing when it comes to Agile and using. So let's talk about the hierarchy of items, which is super important when it comes to Agile. Hierarchy of items, I mean this little custom field here. I'm just gonna go inside the field because I have 1,000 items. So these project items. So in Agile, you have these are all the items. I ignore the project. I don't even use it. So I'm actually gonna delete it.
I do the same thing. I'm like, oh, so yeah, no, this is wrong.
Okay.
This is not right. Let's delete this. We need to clean this up.
I okay. I thought I deleted the epic custom field. Okay, I'm not gonna delete anything. Clickable is a little bit slow and just scare me. Okay, so you have initiatives, epics, features, stories, tasks. Let's say I'm gonna say user story. It's very different. Very important why you say user story. Tasks, subtasks, milestones, versions, client account, ignore. Then other set of item types, OKRs, objectives and key results. Other set is improvement, ideas, user feedback. Bugs, anomaly blocker, bug, crash, an error. I only use bugs and errors. Errors is like when an error happens in Integromat. I have an error handling module which creates a task in ClickUp and says an error happened in this scenario, blah blah
You
blah.
automate
So I go there to
everything,
fix it.
don't you?
Yes, kind of.
Just a little.
And yeah, marketing not important. So let's just focus here. Initiatives, epics, features, user story, tasks. Let's not get into subtasks. The most important is these four here. So not every single startup or team I work with uses every single one of these. Um, it's not necessary. It's up to you and up to the way you work. So, for example, in the way I work, each week I deliver epics, a set of epics. Um, in other teams, in each sprint, they deliver user stories. Other teams, they use the features. I personally use initiatives, epics, features, and user stories. I use the whole package because each type has a different meaning for me. And to break it a little bit more down, I'll show you what's the difference between each one of them and also a task. So obviously, I'm using nested subtasks. I'm
How I
nesting.
need I need to know. I need to know. First off, Gustavo is stealing your type with the icon lists. Second, I need to know how far are you going down with nested subtasks? Are you using all 7 levels?
Yeah, yeah. There
Holy.
sometimes I do use all 7 levels.
Yeah, but in an agile
Mostly
setup with the build up how it is, it does make sense.
mostly I use up to 4. I would say. When it's like one is like epic feature user story and under it the task. That's like most of the time that's as far as it goes. Uh, but like I mean, if you have if you are nesting 7 levels, it's much fun using the mind map because you can just view all your backlog here, and you can just have fun and just brainstorm. Oh, for this I need to do another thing, so you just go here, press enter, and just type another task. So it's just super fun to work with the mind map. So let's just go here. So consulting calls functionality MVP. That's actually something I'm actually working on this week. It's this the epic I need to deliver this week for my client platform. So Epic. Epic basically is a set of either user stories or features, or it can be. It just serves a greater purpose. Like as you see here is like my calling calls functionality. I want people to go in my client platform and be able to pay for consulting calls and have them available to just book now. And I mean, I just like instead of just talking about it, well, it doesn't make sense. I'll just show you exactly what I built. Just an example. Like people just go here, they have available and blah blah blah, and just choose whatever to book, and Calendly opens. They book a call. When they book a call, this drops to 9, for example. If they book a 1 hour call, blah blah blah, and this whole functionality thing. So what's the difference between a feature and a story? So feature is a specific functionality, and user story is has a specific format. So user story, you describe a functionality, but from the user's perspective. It has like these three key things. So as a user, I want to do something, like in this occasion, be able to book a consulting call, and be able to book a consulting call. Wait a second. ClickUp is being funny. And it can. So, us and user type, we'll say user type, I want to the action the user wants to accomplish. So here is the action, and then so that and the reason. Why do they want to complete that action? Mostly I work with user stories. So because I rarely type all the things I have to do, I just type a user story, like what's the functionality I need to accomplish, and then I just go into Integromat or ClickUp or whatever kind of platform, and I just experiment. Because if I am gonna spend my time creating checklist items and tasks of the things I might have to try without actually trying it and theorizing, it just takes
You're gonna spend a
it's
whole
just
bunch of
gonna take.
time just writing it out, figuring out what could potentially, rather than
Yeah,
just go test
exactly.
it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Just
got it.
write. What do you want? What do you do? I want you to accomplish this, and then just go and start building stuff. And if you need to externalize something, which means take notes, just type it. If you are stuck somewhere and you want to continue tomorrow, just make a small checklist of the things you want to continue on. And the good thing is that now, if you're working with user stories, you can just drop these to your sprints instead of self sharing. So instead of actually dropping the whole epic, you can just drop subtasks.
Yeah.
And the way you can do it, you can actually create a view, and you can have if you don't work with epics in sprints and you work exclusively with features or stories or or tasks, so you can just say show me everything. You can create a custom view, not necessarily the same as your backlog. Show me everything as different tasks. Item type, I want you to show me only features, and yeah, and these are the things that you're going to be dropping. Unfortunately, the plus button is not available for subtasks yet to drop them into sprints. But you can just go here and add it to a sprint. or you can or another way you can do it is you can select them
I use
and
the multitask bar.
add to lists. Yeah. So yeah, lots of ways you can actually do them, revert.
Sweet. I like that. It makes a lot of sense, and that's where the whole custom view is coming in again.
Hmm.
I have to admit, me myself, I haven't used custom views nearly enough. Where how I figure out when we need custom views is when there's problems coming up. So one of the things that happened for me is my VA is like, I don't know what to do. Some of the questions that always comes up with ClickUp. And what I literally did is I went in and I built two different views. You guys haven't seen it yet. We're talking content creation again, where I literally just built a this month table view and a next month table view. Because of ClickUp being so interactive, she now has a table view that looks like an Excel spreadsheet that shows her all the content she needs to generate on social media for this month and next month. And the moment that month jumps over, it automatically does the thing, and she literally just needs to work in this month and next month. So, guys, play around with custom views. They are way underrated and way too often just forgotten. Hit that plus button, add another list view, add another board view, whatever you want to do, and just play around with it. Keep the ones you have, just add another one. Go add filters, go do some sorting, go do some stuff, and have fun with it. What is that use case scenario? What is your user story you are trying to solve? That's always what I
Exactly.
ask my clients too, where it's like, okay, what do you want to see? You don't have to go into dashboards to make that stuff happen.
I don't use dashboards.
I started playing around a little bit more with it again, but yeah, most of the stuff we do in custom views rather than dashboards. Um, Gustavo is asking if you use milestones and if yes, for what?
That's funny. That's I have a super funny story on that. So right now, no, I don't. I used to use them, but then I realized actually milestones make me stressed. um,
All right,
so I
I
was
can see
like,
that.
forget the whole thing, and I'm just focusing on OKRs. Milestones are good to use when you're working with clients and you have deadlines, but the way I work with clients is all be different. Even with my clients, I work in Agile. Like with my clients, we have a backlog. They can see it in their uh, they can see it in their customer portal. They have their own backlog, um, and we just have rituals and we just jump in. And then for this sprint, we say we're gonna do this, and that. No milestones, just OKRs. Like we use OKRs because, and like we decide we're gonna do this, and that, but based on our OKRs. Like if our OKR is to reduce, automate, I don't know, 50% of something, or um, I'll just show you an example. This can be the same OKR for my client. Increase client experience satisfaction rate, reduce bugs, save 100 hours from clients with automation, deliver one feature per sprint.
Yep.
So yeah, I and I find it much more better. It's just is it's driven by growth instead of just a stressing deadline.
Your milestone is due tomorrow.
Yeah, no,
Not that
yeah.
you ever sleep either way, but yeah.
Oh yeah, it's quite late here and snowing.
You mean early? It's like what?
I
Two
mean,
two two
depends
forty
on the
five in the morning?
yeah, depends on the perspective. I didn't sleep, so it's late. So another thing I wanted to share is this improvement management folder. So when it comes to just plain ideas, I don't throw everything on my backlog. In my backlog, I throw kind of like more structure stuff. So I have these ideas. Let's say list, which whenever I have an idea, I just throw it up in. I throw it in there, and when it comes, I have like a ritual again, which I go to my ideas, I check them out, and my ideas have like three very simple statuses, and they have like their own process. Under evaluation, create task, rejected, closed, and so on. And also feedback, user feedback from my clients or something. They can submit it through my client portal, and yeah, and also ideas they can submit through my client portal and everything.
Love it. Yeah,
Um,
Gustavo is nutting out. He likes the approach on Epics, and he's going to be cleaning up his ClickUp, and will implement it too.
which,
It's a balancing act between putting deadlines on things but not causing full-on anxiety attacks by it. I'm in the same boat where it's like, if I do not have a certain pressure to something, it's not gonna get done. I'm like, let's push this out, let's push this out. So yes, I do need some kind of pressure, but in this same thing where it's like, where do you put the focus on? So I love how you put the focus on growth and
hmm
advancement over this is the milestone that we had to reach, because things constantly change, not just in
exactly.
development, not just in content creation. It's life. The only constant we have is that things are changing. So yeah, Gustavo, you're not going to be the
Yeah.
only one starting to adjust things.
Yeah, I mean, just like milestones, just they go honestly, they go against agile. Um, Agile is about first of all agility and adaptability and this kind of things. I mean, it just you plan things sprint by sprint. You don't plan things by year per year. Like,
Yep.
I mean, I know people that they have their whole lives planned. Like I run my life in sprints. It's like I don't know
Why am
what's
I not
happening
surprised?
tomorrow.
Why am I not surprised?
Yeah, it's just like, take things week by week. It's just that simple. Like I have just, it can be like as simple as this. It's just like this is a trash bin. It's like a basket, and you just like throw notes in there, and then every week you just pick three of them, and you say, "I'm gonna do this." That's agile. It
I've
just
never looked at it like that, but I like that
it,
explanation.
that's what it is. It's just a
Just be smart
basket.
about which one you pick out of it.
Yeah, exactly. That's one thing. You need to groom it first, and then yeah. So the process is like, I mean, I talked about grooming just to explain a little bit what it is. It's just, I have this staging, um, let's say, status, which is I do the grooming. Basically, what I do here, the most important thing is estimating in points how many sprint points of effort it's gonna take me. And to add a small note on that, each like sprint points do not need to mean the same thing for every business, and especially it doesn't need to mean the same thing for every team. If you have a business which has like five Scrum teams, each team has their own interpretation of what one story point is worth.
Huh.
And
So
yeah,
you're even potentially handling sprint points differently in between the departments. Interesting.
exactly. I mean, me personally, like sprint points is just like you should see it from a team perspective. It's just like personal perspective. So if I had, let's say, two teams like different for operations and another one that was working on the customer portal, for example, I will give them the flexibility and just tell them, you decide what one sprint point is worth for you, because even if they don't decide, like if you give like the same task to two different teams, there's like a 70% probability they're gonna estimate it in a different way. uh, so you just and yeah, we had that discussion, remember, where people adjust budgets based on sprint points, and I had a
Yeah.
fever on that. But but yeah,
We are not
um,
passionate about what we do, guys. Not at all. Not at all.
yeah, yeah. Never mind. But yeah, just like keep sprint points flexible between your teams. Like you can like measure velocity. Like velocity is like how many sprint points per week or per day your like one team accomplishes, which can help you find out the team's capacity, which then you can go here and use in your workload view to basically define each person's capacity. That's what sprint points are for, not for budget planning, not for universal productivity tracking. It's for capacity management and just like it's tracking productivity, but per team, not like total business productivity. And I'm seeing we're running almost out of time, so
You know
I'll
me, I
just
let you know I don't have any plans tonight. You know, when I bring Everepides on the live show, we are giving ourselves a little extra time. So if you got things, you get to
awesome.
share things.
Awesome. Like, yeah, I don't have anything to do tonight either. That's why it's 3 a.m. Yeah, yeah. No, I actually want to show this. So let's talk a little bit about agencies as well, like best practices for agile agencies. So the hardest thing when it comes to agile agencies that I've seen from my clients is the question: how do I distribute my pods? And by pods, I mean the teams, the Scrum teams. That's how we call them in agile pods. Um, there's a lot of beautiful ways to to distribute them, but there's like actually two dominant, which they both work well. Not one works better than the other, and there is like you can use both. It depends on the business, depends on the flexibility. I do have a preference, but I wouldn't give a preference for I don't know anyone. So one way is that you have a client and you have projects and you give to each pod you give one project. Another way is that you have projects and each pod can take multiple tasks from multiple projects, so they don't necessarily work on projects, they are just a pod that they work on items. This
Hmm.
is actually my preferred way, and I've seen it actually do accomplish better things than the other one, because you also have the agencies kind of like have a lot of roles. Like you have designers, you have, let's not get into marketing agencies. Like I mean, you don't have digital marketeers nowadays. You have media buyer, you have Facebook ads expert, you have SEO expert, you have like 1,000 roles.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's not like a startup where in one pod you can have two backend developers, one front-end developer, three backend, one front-end, one QA, one database, which is like the usual distribution. I see in the startups. It's like one QA for every 3 to 4 backend. And yeah, so agencies can be more versatile, but it's still very important to keep your teams small and tight. 6 to 8 people. They tell you 6 to 10, but if you include the product owner or project owner and the scrum master,
You got the
it's
10.
10.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the reason for that is very simple. It has to do with a mental model. I don't know if you not a lot of you know what mental models are. They are something super fun. Go Google them and start searching about mental models. I would recommend you also a book called The Personal MBA. I don't know if I'm allowed to do that or it's marketing
Go for it.
on live shows.
Yes. No,
Yeah.
go for it.
No, it's like personal MBA. It's like my personal handbook. This book, I forgot it in planes 7 times and I bought it again.
Are we
Yeah,
are we gonna have to get you like a handle to your book or something so it always stays around your neck so you don't
I
leave
need to
them?
stick it to myself. But yeah.
Something.
So it has to do, so teams again. It has to do with the mental model called cognitive scope limitation. So this basically tells us that a human cannot have, there is actually a limited amount of close connections a human can have at at the concurrent time in his life. So let's say at this point in my life right now, I have only, let's say, 200 slots um, in my head or like whatever that I can put humans in. So if you actually have a team of like 20 person, I mean that person most likely also has, a personal life. They have friends, they have family, and so on. So they cannot exactly do very um, they cannot build very close connections with their team members. That's why they tell you keep it tight, like 6 to 8 people, um, and it's the optimal. And I can also tell you that working in a team of six i- and working in Agile, it's easier than working in Agile alone. Uh, because alone you need to be 3 different roles, while in teams you are each individual role. You're either a PO, a Scrum Master, or a development team.
Does that all does make sense?
Hmm.
But yeah,
And for
that's where the whole human aspect comes into all of that.
Mhm.
That where it's like it's I think that's where most people struggle with. I'm like, we can build the systems and processes. I can tell you, you have to do this way, but it's not going to function in your team like it does on my team because you need to account for the human factor in all of that.
Hmm. Exactly.
Cool.
Okay, so let's get to the other super nice tip of like
He's got all tips for us
so
today.
so again this has to do a lot with different views. So you just see this list, you only think, it's just a backlog and it just has tasks. It has a little bit more things in it. I have this view which called trigger hooks, and it has a trigger. So basically this item type is called a trigger. And let's just put this on pending, and I'll show you what happens. So basically exactly what it says here: send ClickUp folder information to my client portal, which is this platform here. So basically I need to send, when I create a client folder, I need to send that information into the client portal, so I can do a bunch of other. I need to add it as a custom field on my CRM contacts on my client, basically, so I can do another bunch of automations. Like whenever something happens in the client portal, I just grab the. So whenever people book a meeting, I just create a task in the meetings list, for example, like a consulting meeting call, and I add also the Calendly links, blah blah blah. In order to do that, I need the the folder ID, for example. So what happens here? This beautiful automation happens. So this is something you can use for any kind of automation in any kind of list. I use this also for influencer management with one of my clients. I'll show you the automation right now, actually.
And
So
that's one
basically,
of
we
the
have
smaller automations, guys, by the way. This is a smaller automation, just so you know.
it starts like this. It seriously starts like this. So it can be just this ClickUp task. It just you send the trigger, it gets the information of the task. It tell me that the task is send ClickUp folder information to blah blah blah, and then just one module to send it. And then from here, what I want to happen happens. Then here is like I get the trigger information, and then send list ID to campaign database. Send influencers for casting. Basically, we're getting the influencers from the influencer list, and we send them to the client for casting. So they decide which influencers they want to work with. Um, Pull approved influencers from casting sheet. When the client approved influencers, we pull them. We just click a button, like literally, it's like this. We just do trigger, and
Mm-hmm.
then the influencers come flowing into ClickUp, the approved ones. So you can use this kind of thing. You just build a different view. You have this kind of triggers, and then you just press trigger, and then the automation you want to happen just beautifully happens, and you don't have to lift a finger, which is the most beautiful thing.
Guys, you can't tell he's a complete automation nerd, right? You think I love automations? Yeah, I have nothing on Everepides. Nothing.
Click up, click up. Yeah, I'm gonna spend 2 months to find a way to automate 1 minute of my life.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but the long tail on those savings, on the time savings, and then being able to
exactly.
duplicate it, that's a whole nother story.
Yeah, in my client portal, I have a ROI calculator, which if one of my client wonders uh, whether it's worth to automate one of their processes, they just go there and they add the numbers, like, and then they check both the return on money and on time in 1 year's worth, and they're like, wow.
And it's pretty much just it's a simple calculation. How much money are you paying for the person to do that manually right now? How much time is that person spending, and how much is that costing you right now? Okay.
Yeah,
So you're
it's
still worried about paying some money to get this automated for the next how long? Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
I love
It's
how you
like
put that calculator together. That's yeah.
it's super simple, and it just makes sense. Like, I mean, a lot of people don't understand how much time they actually spend doing
Clicking.
repetitive
Just
tasks. Yeah,
clicking.
exactly. Clicking.
I'm like
Yeah,
this that's one of my biggest issues on user experience where I'm like, why did you take that away? Now I have to do 3 clicks, and I don't just have to do 3 clicks once. Yeah.
I can show you like some ClickUp automations, for example, also. Like while we're talking about automations, just to minimize just a couple of clicks, but those clicks in the long run just
They add
save
up
you a
so
ton of
fast.
time. Like I don't even use OKRs that much. Like I don't spend so much time, but I have like 9 automations in here. So when, for example, first one, when an OKR is created in any OKR list, like I have OKRs across all my departments. They are added, all of them are added to my growth center, which I track all of my OKRs. So I track OKRs individually in their own, let's say, whether it's except clients, in my marketing OKRs, my business development OKRs, my sales OKRs, and they just drop here. I just put some examples here so you can see. Filter. I should have a filter here, which I think I forgot to save. Remember to save your views, people. Very
Yeah.
important. Objective, and then press save.
Or
So
have
yeah,
your
all
auto
of my
save on.
objectives here. And also I'm using these naming conventions, which you see here, OKRs, line, ClickUp portal. So I know, and I have like show task locations. So I can see what kind of like where is this OKR. Like for example, if you have OKRs for clients, you can see which client, you can see all the OKRs for all your clients in the same list. And it's just an automation that automatically just adds the OKR there. Um, yeah, I set the basic custom fields when a task is created. Because also my OKRs have a different statuses. I change the stage of the OKR depending on the status.
Yep.
So another
That's
automation. So I just don't have to click here 2 times. It's literally 2 clicks, 1, 2 to change the status. But I don't want to do
I
that
do the
because
same thing when I know either way, and I connect them in both ways, where either way is staged, so one of the custom fields adjusts the status, or where the status adjusts one of the custom fields.
exactly. And on my backlog, what kind of automations I have? Yeah, actually, I have space-wide automations. So these are automations I have in all my spaces. Basically, I have like one specific custom field. which is the time status of my tasks, if they are on time or behind. So this is something super interesting to track, actually. So usually when something is behind, you change the due date. A lot of people just change the due date. But just because you change the due date, it doesn't mean that that item is not behind. It's still behind.
Yeah.
So for me, when something is like when a task is created, obviously it's on time. But when the due date arrives for any kind of task, the like the status goes behind.
Do you use a label or a drop down field for that?
Drop down.
Yeah.
It's yeah, because it's not it cannot be two at the same time. So it's just a drop down, and yeah. So due date 3 days ago. Actually, I just changed this. So this is behind. Like so, you can see this task is due tomorrow, but it's behind because it was supposed to be due today, and I just changed it to due tomorrow. But like I can still see here it's behind, and you can create a tab in a dashboard or a view on your everything. If you see my everything space has a bunch of views.
Yep.
Um,
You just do a
yeah,
custom view based on that custom field that shows you everything
yeah,
that's behind.
yeah, exactly. They show you everything that's behind, and then you can prioritize accordingly, and you can add it to your backlogs and everything. So that actually custom
That's the
field
next
saves me.
level to my on fire list. I have an on fire list where it's like, okay, we need to take care of this, where we use the priority flags first. This is the
Hmm.
next level where it's like you can change the due dates, but you still know what's overdue and needs to pay attention to. I like that.
Hmm. When it comes to priority, there is a bunch of priority models people use. I use either the flags personally, the ClickUp flags, but I also use Moscow. I also use Kano. Um, do I have it here? Just to show it to you. Kano. Um, but I will recommend digging down into prioritization models and frameworks because they can actually really help you, you know, put like I mean it's a whole another topic how to prioritize work.
Yeah.
I do calculations, me personally, based on like user satisfaction, like what's the estimated user satisfaction, what's the effort, and you have this quadrant where the task just falls somewhere in there. Um, or you have like Kano, which is must be something that you must absolutely do, like indifferent, attractive. Like attractive is something that's nice, but
You don't really need it.
yeah, not exactly necessary. So it just you do it only if you have like free time, like time to kill. Like I mean, it's better to take a holiday than to actually do it.
Gustavo is heading off, and I think we actually have a really good point here too.
Mm-hmm.
Simply because I know Everepides and I can go on forever, but
Yes.
we got nice best practices down. We already
Mm-hmm.
touched on a couple of topics where I have the feeling I'm gonna have you back on the channel because I'm like, what should I do? Is always one of the burning questions. Uh, like Gustavo's already asking, Everepides, when are you gonna be back? Gustavo wants to see you back.
Um. Yeah, we'll
No
we'll figure
worries,
it out.
we'll have Everepides back. He is first gonna be busy moving to Italy potentially. I've heard somebody say something, but
Yeah, that's the plan.
see. Okay,
Yeah.
guys. Thanks so much for coming on, Everepides. This was fun as always.
Thank you.
I already
And
got
everyone
about
can catch me in the community.
five potential topics on the list to bring you back on. And guys, as he just mentioned, if you want to nerd out right on top of his head, I always point in the wrong direction. Go jump in the community, soccer community. It's been really great, simply because we now can actually build a knowledge base. Gustavo is in there, Everepides is in there. Come join us, nerd out with us, and I'm going to see you there, Evripides. Thanks so much for coming on and nerding out with me.
Thank you for having me.
Always.
I am I love just nerding out. You know that.
You know you're going to be back for that.
Yeah.
Bye, buddy.
Honey, I got what you want. Give me all of your love, 'cause it's burning hot.